Yvonne Wolf. Today, our special guest is Sarah Berto, Glenview resident and former teacher at Glenview New Church. Sarah is also an illustrator for the Win Party and the Christmas Tree Garden. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you, Yvonne. How kind of you to invite me. I'm delighted to be here.
Well, we know each other only a couple years, but it feels like we've been friends forever. Now, tell me how you became an illustrator for two children's books. Were you an illustrator before that?
No, I was not. I've been a teacher for 25 odd years, and I was teaching with my cousin by chance here in the United States. We were co-teaching at the Glenview New Church School together. Didn't have time for writing because teachers have a lot of time
Oh, I
preparing.
totally understand that. Yes.
Anyway, one day she said to me, Sarah, she's actually got her master's in writing. And she said, I've been writing these children's books. Would you like to illustrate them? I thought, oh my goodness. Wow, what an honor, because I love to paint. That's one of my hobbies. So I said, yes, certainly, I'll do one. And that's how it came about that I did the Christmas tree garden illustrations.
I see. And that is how you started. Now, your journey starts even before that. Because we talked about how we both have this similarity that we came to Glenview during the winter. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey to Glenview?
Absolutely. I was a born and bred new church person in South Africa. And we have three children. We were living in South Africa, and both my husband and I agreed that it was probably the best idea for their future to come out here to the United States. And that's when I started applying for school jobs here in the United States, where we do have a lot of church schools. And I was invited to come to Glenview the third time round we were asked. But it's been an incredible journey, I must say. Our children were 2, 5, and 7 when we came out. And I've been co-teaching with Laura in the church school since then, until I started doing my own business. So
Ah,
it was a huge change to move from the other side of the world to the United States.
oh,
But we're
yes.
very happy to be here.
I remember you telling me how that first winter was from South Africa, where it was warm.
We came from in the middle of summer to the middle of winter here, December, just, oh my goodness, it
The
was,
north and southern hemispheres.
yes, indeed.
And then you had no place to live, where you didn't know what kind of clothes to prepare for.
Oh
And
my,
you told me about the story about how Glenview New Church was like a second family, and the generosity of the people.
yes, you remember correctly, Yvonne. We were blown away by the hospitality of people here. They provided us with a house full of furniture and clothes because, as you say, buying different clothes for a different climate was, oh my goodness, very hard. But I went straight on day 4 after arriving in the country, straight into the classrooms. I didn't have any time to do anything, but they were huge, providing us with everything.
That's a great Glenview story. I have felt similar warmth moving here also in the middle of January. Now let's talk a little more about the age group of your students. When you started teaching, what was the age group, and did you practice storytelling with your students?
I'm actually trained to teach kindergarten through 5th grade, but I do love the little ones, and I love preschool too. I taught in South Africa for 5 years in the preschool, and I love telling stories. Love telling stories. It's just hasn't. I wasn't a born writer, but I like to use my imagination. I like to have other people think about different things, and words are important when you use them, choosing them carefully. Anyway, what I'm saying is that with the children that I taught back in South Africa, being preschool and 1st and 2nd grade, I would read a lot to them, and tell them my own stories as I taught them math or science or whatever it was. I'd make up a story to go along with the problem that they were choosing, because I think that's so important for memory work, as far as knowing and understanding something because you love it, because you connect with it. And that's what I've found in my new business and my writing of books, that have to make things fun in order to remember them.
I think so. I think you are a whiz at connecting with children, engaging them with stories that speaks to them. We can't just give children a number of data and statistics. We just have to reach them in through our imagination. So that leads us to your two books. Now, how did they start? Now, can you tell us a little bit about this journey? You told me that it is your cousin who started the writing of this one.
Exactly. Yes, yes. She, as I say, um, loves to write. She would prefer to write than to teach, to tell you the truth. But she, writing doesn't pull in enough money for her to live the way she would like to. Anyway, one day she said to me, Sarah, I'd love you to draw the pictures for this book. Are you interested? And of course, I love to draw and I love to paint. I've been doing it all my life. And yeah, I said, of course, Laura. And when I found out they were people, I said, oh, people are not my best thing to do, but I will try, certainly. And, the more you try something, the better you get at it. So I was very proud, actually, of what I finished up with at the end. But yes, I said, yeah, certainly, Laura. So I'll draw the pictures, and both books, the second one that you're holding up was the one that she did 2 years later, and said, I'd love you to draw these too. The publisher for the first one was very, very good at helping us, because they did it almost free of charge, being a friend. And the one that you're holding, Yvonne, is the one that we self-published.
This is the Wind Party. I think the colors are very vibrant.
Thank you. Yes, yes.
And the colors, I mean, sometimes they tell the story as well.
Definitely, definitely.
Well, would you consider working with the same publisher or publishers again? Could you tell us a little bit how that collaboration turned out?
Of course, yes. Unfortunately, Fountain Publishing, who did our first book, they were friends of ours, could no longer do the publishing. It was right at the end, after they'd published 100 books. They said, oh, we can't do this anymore. So handed it over to Amazon CreateSpace. And the publisher said to me, I will teach you how to publish your own books. So of course we can't use Fountain Publishing anymore, and we self-published the Wind Party through Amazon CreateSpace. But it was a lot of work, a lot of work. I prefer to write and to draw than to publish.
It takes a whole different kind of organization and skills to put a book out on Amazon CreateSpace. Well, can you tell us what you prefer? Do you prefer a hard copy book like this one, like the Christmas tree garden, or the Wind Party, which is soft cover? Does it matter to you?
It doesn't matter to me, but I think it does to the parents. The parents prefer a hard copy for their children. And obviously self-publishing, I decided not to go for hard copies, because it added a different dimension to the way that, because I was doing it myself, it was too hard for me to do it hard copy.
Yes.
Yeah, anyway, you can buy the Christmas Tree Garden off Amazon still, but I think they're all paperback.
I see.
Or hard copy.
So after these books were published, how did you feel? Did they inspire you to write more?
I felt exhilarated after I'd finished the books, both of them, in fact. I thought, oh, the first time I'm illustrating for a children's book, it was very exciting. And when she asked me to do the second one, yes, right away. And it just made me feel so good.
I
And
can hear the energy in your voice.
yes, yes, I was very excited. And actually, we asked, did it promote me to writing my own books? I must say, not so much until my husband said, Sarah, I think that you are not getting to enough people if you're doing things in person for your business. I think you should write about them.
Yes.
Oh, really? Yes, maybe. And I've loved writing the books that I'm doing right now.
So there's their encouragement, of course, and people who know how valuable the lessons you teach are for children. Now, why do you want to write for children? Now, you also said that it's not to really make money, and then you've been such a educator. Why do you want to write for children?
Because I believe that life is full of fun. And if you start believing in yourself and having fun at the beginning and making it part of who you are, has to start at the beginning. Trying to develop it later on is tricky. And yes, I am writing some books for teenagers, but I prefer the little ones because that's where my teaching was with
Yes.
the little ones, and getting them when the sponge is dry and filling them with this wealth of love in what they do is
Mm,
huge to me.
I hear you, Sarah. You are such a energetic educator, and you're so positive. That's what I liked about talking with you. When I see your books, I see the colors, I see that positive vision about life. I think that's a very important message, and it's not as easy as people think to reach a 4-year old, a 5-year old. So do you plan to illustrate your next book?
Yes, I do. I do. And it's interesting you say writing for 4-year-olds is tricky, very tricky. I've written all 12 of my books, and they were really geared for 9, 10, 11-year-olds when I'm thinking about all the information that they have in them. Now, at the moment, I am writing for the little ones, the same information, but paring it down a lot and illustrating those. I'm really looking forward to. I haven't started that yet, but the journey has begun, and I'm excited to get out all this information about etiquette to children all from all ages, 3 through 300.
I know that your personality and your philosophy about life, Sarah, is about creating more peace and loving relationships. During this pandemic, it seemed like it worked out for you that while you could not be in person with your students, you've been using it in a good place in writing your books.
Definitely. I had so much fun writing my books. There was, as you say, less time to give to other things because the writing took all my time. I thought, oh my goodness, this is wonderful that I do have the time. And it's turned out at least 12 books, which I'm hoping to publish next year. But as I say, with finding the right publisher is going to be tricky. If I have to self-publish, I will. And
That's a good option right now, I think. And I do know a couple of smaller publishers that we can discuss after a program. Now, I've seen your website and you own your own business. Can you tell us a little about that and how you continue to work with children, continue to teach them how to create positive relationships?
yes, of course, that is actually exactly where all my ideas come from, is the core. And the core begins in believing in yourself and doing what you need to from the very beginning. I began my business when I left teaching about 5 years ago, but I must say that my business started in my head when I came to this country. And I
Mm,
saw how children were beginning to listen less and less and be less respectful and not be able to concentrate on what they were doing. And the media and technology is wonderful, and as wonderful as it is, we need to build the skills from within to connect with others. And that's what gave me the inspiration to do an after school program, and then during the school program for the kindergarten and preschoolers, we had tea parties, and I had the children make their own things to eat with their tea. And all the preschoolers and kindergartners and first and second grade, actually, the boys said, I don't know if I want to get dressed up. And boy, within 2 weeks, they were all dressing up, top hats and boas and looking super and sitting nicely at the table. I taught them how to be at the table and with others instead of.
Oh, that's very important, right? To not just think about yourself, but how you are in society and how you get along with other people. That is so fun because I remember my children enjoying the tea parties even as boys, and they like to pretend doing things well and gently and nicely. Can you tell me more about the props you have there?
Oh, certainly. You know, with the tea party stuff is not here because if I bought a whole lot of things, it
It'll
would
be
be
hard.
too much to show. But these are for the older children, and these props actually were the awards I gave to the older children for learning how to set the table for a three-course meal and how to use the soup spoon and the knife and fork and elbows they learned earlier with the tea party, but again, they needed reminding and practicing. Don't learn anything at once. You have to keep on practicing.
Oh,
So
yes.
the after school programs I had stemmed from these things that it said to the kids to try and bring them to come to the table, as it were, come take part in this after school activity. You're
Yes.
going to earn an award. And the bow tie was the award. I called the
Oh,
program Black Tie, White Gloves.
that
Because
is
black tie. And the
lovely.
black tie was something that they got if they were a boy for taking part in,
Yes.
in the after school program, and the girls got the white gloves.
Hmm.
Now, these props are the ones that have inspired me to write my books because these are the characters.
Yes.
And the teapot is the main character. She is Emma Etiquette, and she's
Yes.
teaching, well, she actually has to learn how to be genteel, as you were saying, Yvonne. You know, you need
Yes.
to be some people want to be around, and she needed to learn that, and she learned it from the top hat and the black tie and the white gloves and the tiara. That's what
Oh.
the girls will get the tiara after taking classes 4 times.
Oh, yes. And
And
those
sorry,
and those are the memories that stick with us, close to our hearts.
yes, yes, yes. They all these things I did at the school for at least 16 years, after school programs and in school programs with the preschoolers. And when I left teaching, that I'm going to use these to encourage people to take these classes through the park district or through their parents inviting me to come in to teach them in their home, and they would have an award at the end. And then when my husband said to me, you need to write about that, I said, okay, I'm going to write a book that's going to tell them how to behave at the table because they're not going to remember that. They want to have
Yes.
fun. So I
Yes.
made the characters be things instead of people.
Yes. And that's really true that before we can really have fun, we need to respect everyone's space. We need to respect the way we interact with people. I feel, Sarah, your lessons are going to create better grown ups
I
and,
hope.
and a better world, really, when people can behave in a way that they can show mutual respect. Well, Sarah, you've written 2 books already or part of 2 books. Have you gotten any feedback from your students?
Yes, I have. I have. I've had about 20 children of varying age groups to read them just so that I could get constructive criticism from 5 through 13-year-olds. And the ones that have come back the best have been from the 7th and 8-year-olds saying that they are thrilled that they're going to be able to learn about manners through a constructive and fun way.
Yes, I think that's not an easy topic to address. So I think I commend you, Sarah, for making something maybe to some people very boring, but it could be fun. It could really teach something about confidence in children. Now, I saw you in an interview with Real Matters and Real People. What do you like about Glenview?
We were very, very fortunate to come to a school from South Africa, and it was Glenview, and we've been here now 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
Love every minute of it because the people are um, aspired to make themselves better, to improve themselves. I was very impressed by the way people drive
Yes,
because they're very courteous on the road.
yes.
They don't whiz around like they did where I come from in South Africa and anywhere
Oh,
else you go in the States. I
yes. If you drive just a little bit closer to Chicago, you'll feel it right away. We're out of this zone of polite driving culture. Yes.
Yes, that's true, so true. But that's why we love living in Glenview because people aspire to become better, and
Mm,
also the greenery. The greenery around here is just beautiful. Just being able to be in the suburb with greenery and just a stone's throw away from Chicago itself. If you need to go into the city, it's not too
yes.
far.
Yes. And I think there's always inspiration in nature that keep us calmer and respect the space we have.
Definitely.
Now, Sarah, what do you recommend to our viewers who are writers? Do you have a special place where you write? Do you write anywhere? You already share with us the inspiration you have from your props. What is some other advice you can give us?
The advice I have is it begins in your heart.
Mm,
If you have a passion for something, you can do it anyway. And when you say, do I have a place? No, the only place is in my heart. And
mm,
I can write anywhere. In fact, I take my pictures and writing wherever I go. And one day I went into Chicago by train to have my teeth done. And coming home, I took out my books and I was coloring. And I didn't know what the time was. I went right past Glenview Station, almost to Fox Lake. And where did the time go? Because I was
yes.
so immersed in that I totally became oblivious. Thank goodness the conductor was such a sweet man. He gave me a ticket
Oh,
back to Glenview. So I got off at the next station and I came home quite safely. But
well, that's a wonderful story, Sarah, because I think that's very encouraging to us writers who are so concerned about our work, we just forget. I just think that's a very lovely story. And I also, Sarah, I also enjoy your generosity. Every time we meet, you are reminding me of my passion and where I should be writing. Well, in closing, I want to thank you for being on our program.
my pleasure, Yvonne. It's been a real honor to have been with you and talking about what I am passionate about because I really do believe that the world needs to be working at things, as you say, being with other people and being mindful of what we do. And if we were in that way, we'd be so much better off. In fact, each person, you don't have to make the whole world like that, but if each person does their little bit, we can make it.
Oh, thank you very much, Sarah, for that message. And please do come back with your books when they are newly published.
Thank you. I'd love to do that. Thank you, Yvonne.
And thank you for watching. Join us next time on Off the Shelf.